Hi there and welcome to another VeloNomad.com video. Today we're reviewing the Scicon Aerocomfort Plus. Now I have to say thanks to Scicon for sending this to me all the way from Italy. Although they sent it to me, you can be sure I'm going to do a frank and fearless review of this. There's no point in sugarcoating anything that I think needs to be improved. So there's a lot of pluses for this bag, but there's also a few things that I think can be improved. So of course I'm going to mention those. Alright, with bike bag reviews, for those of you who are familiar with my other bike bag reviews, you'll know what I look for in a bike bag. For those who are new to VeloNomad or haven't seen a video, this basically I have a few things I look at. Agility, how easily you can move the bike bag around the airport, get into trains and stuff like that. The bike bag needs to move around really easy, not be a drag, because there's nothing worse than having a backpack and maybe another bag and then be lugging this thing around. You want it to just be a breeze. Compatibility, really important for those going overseas and who have a hire car or a camper van. You want to be able to pack this thing down nice and tight and it's not going to be in the way for the duration of your trip. Weight, really important for travellers these days with airlines crimping on baggage allowances. 5-6 kilos here and there between a bike bag is really quite important. I think it makes a big difference. Or if you can afford to cut stuff out of your packing list, well, it makes your whole luggage weight a lot lighter, which makes it easy to get around. Price, not a huge deal breaker. It's important to a lot of people, I understand that, but is it more important to worry about $100 or $200 or whatever your local currency is, or a $4,000 or $5,000 bike? So to me, it is important, but it's not the end of the world. We've also got longevity and robustness, how long the bike bag's going to last. There's no point in spending $300, $400, $500 on all Australian currency. Obviously, on a bike bag, I need to have it fall apart or break. One trip or two trips in, that's pretty pointless to me, and that kind of ruins the experience of the bag. We've also got securing the bike, how well it's, you can secure the bike internally and really lock it into the bike bag. Adjustability of the bag, what size bikes it can accommodate. Also, we've got what else have we got? Price, weight, robustness, and overall design considerations like how well the bike bag's put together, which kind of goes to robustness, but also little things like the quality of zips, how easily you can get the bike in and out, and be ready to ride. Little things like that kind of you don't really think about, but once if they're really tuned and dialed in, using the bike bag becomes a breeze and I guess a joy. So things you might not think of at first. Okay, so like I said, there's a few great things about this bag, and there's a few things that I think need to be improved. So I'm going to talk about the great things first. Usually it's the other way around, but I'm going to highlight the positives first. Alright, so for travellers these days, for me, at least for me, the most important things I think are weight of the bag, its agility, getting around, and compatibility. Now, I've done a few trips now, cycling trips to Europe from Australia, so about as far as you can go, and probably these things are the things that really stood out for me. Yeah, so weight of the bag, how easily it is that I can get around, checking counter queues and stuff like that, and also compactness. If I'm in a camper van, I don't want this thing to be in the way. I don't want to have to leave it at a depot or something like that. I just want it to be out of the way and not a hassle. So in terms of weight, this bike bag's about 7 kilos. It's super light. Maybe the Polaris bike pod is close, but to me this thing is pretty much the winner in this category. There's a couple bike bags I haven't tested yet, or reviewed yet, but this one, it's really light and it's noticeably light. It's fantastic in that regard. Agility, I've had personal experience with this. I've travelled to Europe with one of these bags, and the agility is absolutely amazing. It's mind-blowing. It's on 4 casters. I'll show you that a bit later on for a different reason. But so this thing basically, it turns on a dime. It's really not a hassle to move around. It just moves forward and back, and you can just spin it around on the spot. So getting around queues and stuff like that, which some of you might think that's not a huge hassle, but having used other bike bags that aren't as agile as this, I can tell you it's just makes things so much more stress-free when you can just tow your bike bag around and you've got other bags, and it's not a drag. And also compactness. Now I've got to get the bag for this. This bike bag comes with this bag, big sleeping bag actually, sort of thing. So it's not a huge bag really. So basically, this thing rolls up really easily, and it just pops in the bag there, and you can stow it away. And it doesn't really get in the way. In a camper van or a minivan or a hire car, it will just go in the back and be out of sight and out of mind, as it were, until you need it again. Alright, so now I want to talk about the things that I think need to be improved, and these are things that kind of I've picked up from my own personal use of the bike bag, but also from anecdotal stories from a very good friend and some other friends. This is the kind of feedback that I've gotten from these guys. So firstly, I'm going to move into the bag, so I'll talk about the things on the outside of the bag first. So firstly, I want to talk about robustness and longevity of the bag. Firstly, if we tip the bag up, and it does have a bike in it, we've got these 4 casters which influence how easy the bag is to get around. Now, the problem for me is I've had a caster come off. It wasn't my bike bag. I've had more than one person tell me they've had the exact same problem. The caster's just disappeared in transit, or that one guy told me he was running for a train and the caster just went AWOL. So, it's a bit of there's enough there for me that this is something that needs to be looked at, and possibly a better way of attaching the casters. Maybe casters on the front and skateboard wheels on the back or something like that. But that's certainly something with enough anecdotal evidence behind it that it could be of a downside. I guess, before and after you trip or midway through it, you can check the bolts on the casters, because that seems to be the point that causes the problem. Check the bolts and make sure they're all done up tight, and maybe put some Loctite on them or something like that to ensure they don't just undo themselves. The next thing with robustness is also to do with the base, and that's this material. Now, inside here's a metal frame, and there's the material that the bag's made of is also the base. Now, to me, that's going to rip you up and down stairs or whatever. To me, I reckon that should probably be, or if I had to redesign this, I'd probably use a plastic base or something there, inside it. The material, or even on the outside, is just have some hard plastic. It's not going to add a lot of weight to the bag really, but it'll just help protect the bag a little bit more and stop it ripping. Because like I said, you don't want to buy a bag like this and they're not super cheap. 550 Australian dollars or something like that off Wiggle. You don't want to come back from one trip and find a great big tear there and have to duct tape it or something else. That's not ideal, obviously. Okay, next thing is overall design considerations. I mean, the bike bag looks great. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't tip over like other bike bags. It's very solid laterally, and probably it is prone to tipping forward a little bit. If you weight it down the back, that's not going to be an issue. For me, the zips are a little bit light. I mean, you're not going to be in and out of them a lot, but they are a little light for a bag like this. Other bike bags have got really heavy gauge plastic meaty zips that pretty bomb proof. So for me, the zips could probably be replaced with something a bit hardier. Next thing is getting in and out of the bag, which also goes to design considerations. Simply 2 zips. And basically, we fold it back and we're in. So it's pretty well thought out in terms of getting in and out. The bike still stands there, and you just unzip and there you are. You're in the bike bag. It's very well thought out in terms of access. There's a couple of internal straps I didn't have done up, which is something I want to talk about now actually. Okay, so in terms of securing the bike, there's a metal frame. Again, I'll talk about that in a second, but you have these 2 internal straps attached to the wheel holders, I guess you could call them. So basically this goes over the top tube, and then standard plastic clip in there, and you tighten it. Now that, and in combination with another one, is what's supposed to hold this bag in place. Now, when I took this overseas went overseas in 2009, I secured it with the straps, still popped off. I had it done up, nice and tight, both straps, and I thought really held down onto the base, onto the frame, and the bike still popped off. So to me, that's something that it definitely needs looking at. I'm not a design engineer in terms of bike bags, but certainly there needs to be a couple more straps or a better way of doing it. Perhaps straight from the frame over the bike or something like that. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is adjustability. So I reveal my look, which is an extra small look. A little bit dirty, so it's just been out on the road. And the forks sit on this arm. Now this sits in a sleeve and it slides forward and back. At the moment, remembering this is like a 49cm frame, at the moment this arm is basically, the end of it is just popping out of the sleeve. So, and the sleeve's about that long. What's that, 15cm? So there's certainly enough adjustability to slide the sleeve forward and accommodate a larger bike, you know, medium large, extra large, whatever. The problem here is the back flap. If I hook it up on the seat there to hold it up, you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, I hope you can, there's only a few, maybe, you know, a few centimetres of play there. So I'm not sure that this bike bag could accommodate a large or extra large bike frame. Even if you did manage to squeeze it in, there's probably not going to be enough room to put padding in the front, which is what I certainly would look at doing, to protect the forks. And also up the top there's a bit of space, you know, to put around the brakes and shifters. So, you know, that's probably going to be okay, but to me it's a little bit iffy if the bike bag's long enough. Certainly in the rear, if I just slide this forward, certainly in the rear, and remember, like I said, this is an extra small bike, that derailleur is right up against the almost right up against the zip. So, you know, if you had a larger bike, you'd be in danger of having this cable banging up against the back of the bag. Now, you know, then you could put some bubble wrap in, but it's probably going to get knocked, maybe do your derailleur some damage. Which leads me to my next point. This bike bag comes with a Derailleur Protector. So basically where the skewer goes through, you attach it in there and it's supposed to sit down and protect the derailleur from knocks from the side. The problem here is it's got a funny shape to it. So in the skewer cavity, I'm not sure that's the right name, but that'll do. This actually doesn't fit in a look. I know it fits in a specialised roubaix because that's what I went with putting this bag last time. So that's, to me, that's useless. So I don't know how you'd fix that, make that a more, you know, a general shape or something like that, a universal shape to fit in all the skewer housings. I know it'd be hard for every bike, but to me that's pretty pointless. The problem is that the skewers aren't long enough. Now I tried it with my Derailleur skewers and still not long enough. So unless you've got extra long skewers, A, that doesn't fit in there, and if it did I could probably get it in, but B, the bag probably needs to ship with longer skewers to accommodate that problem. Alright, one thing I did mention before about getting the bike in and out quickly, but which I want to touch upon a little bit more, is the pedals. Now most bike, this sits in there nice and easily. You can see it's going to be a cinch just to pull the bike off, put your wheels on and away you go. You do have to take your pedals off still. I've got them on there, I know, but you could probably get away with leaving them on there. I wouldn't. I'd take them off. It's just one less thing to sort of pressure point to be banged and then push your cranks across, maybe put them out of shape. Not much chance of it, but it could happen. You know, so once you start having to muck around with pedals, it starts adding time, and sort of that advantage of this bike bag in terms of being able to pop it in and pop it out and quickly start riding is diminished somewhat. So most other bike bags you have to take off the handlebars, the pedals, and just pop the seat down or take the whole post out. You know, once you start doing that, you lose a lot of advantage in this bike bag. You know, I could probably get away with leaving this on, just popping that down, but I still have to take the pedals off. So I suppose really it's just an exercise in putting pedals on. So, you know, this bike bag does have a bit of an advantage in that regard. Alright, let's talk about padding because that's important for bikes. Now this bike bag on the sidewalls has quite good padding, I think. it's probably adequate, but as you can see, the wheels just slot into these sleeves here on either side of the bike. So your wheels, you probably want your wheels to take a little bit more of a knock than the actual bike frame itself, especially if you're traveling with something bomb-proof like Mavic Open Pros or whatever, or Ultegras, or something reliable but that you can afford to lose if something goes wrong. Having said that, you'd be really unfortunate for a wheel to be knocked hard enough to break it. So yeah, the padding's really good. Like I said before, the bottom's just material to me that needs to certainly be improved. Now around the hoods, they've got this yellow. I'm going to put this yellow padding in, which is really thick, and that just sits on top of the hoods there, which is good, and it rolls around the front to protect the levers. What it doesn't protect them from is the side impact. When I bought my bike back from Europe in 2009, this whole housing had been knocked right around. The handlebars have been bent. Now I had Ultegras, so I don't know whether the shifters had actually been knocked in, and because they're Ultegra, the whole assembly moves, and that saved it. But with SRAM, which is what's on here now, that could potentially snap. So to me, that's a bit of an issue. That's a result of the design of the bag, and you leave your handlebars on. Other bike bags, you take these off and you fold them across the frame so everything's really snug and secure. So, whilst the bike bag has really good padding itself on the sides, and you can always put bubble wrap around it, that's still something to be aware of, because baggage handlers don't have the best reputation on this sort of stuff. You hear some horror stories, so that's something you have to be aware of. Getting wheels in and out is quite simple. Like I showed you, they just pop in the side. There's ample room to put other stuff in here, and the bike bag's certainly light enough to accommodate some extra stuff in here, whether you nicks or whatever, water bottles and food and stuff like that, just to pad it out. Maybe a couple of towels as well. So yeah, like I said, there's a few things that need to be improved, and just to summarise them, there's the casters and the base need to be looked at. Maybe the spacing and the cut of the bag to accommodate bigger bikes. Obviously these bike bags do fit bigger bikes in, because pro teams are using these. So there's some big guys on pro teams who big lanky tall guys on large frames. I don't know about extra large, but so certainly they fit, but it's whether they fit comfortably enough to have the extra padding in, for peace of mind. And also I mentioned the fact that you would need to have extra padding around here to protect it, and probably around the seat as well. Longer skewers needed for these, I think, and certainly if I were you, I'd be putting a lot of bubble wrap around the rear derailleur, which any bike bag you do the exact same, so it's not really designed for anything like that for this bike bag. And like I said, pluses, agility around airports is a huge bonus or plus for this bag. It's awesome. The weight, it's really light. It compacts down really well for travelling, and also like I mentioned before, getting the bike in and out is really quite a breeze. I mean, if you have to put the pedals on, it's a 2-minute job at pedals, so really it's not a huge deal. And also to pop the seat post in, it's not a massive deal either. So probably 10 minutes to put the bike together, and other bike bags might be 20, so it's not a massive advantage, but it's just ease of getting in and out. It's not unwieldy at all, it's pretty easy, so that's a positive. So overall, I think I've pretty much covered everything, as well as longevity of the bag. Like I mentioned, there's a few pain points where the bag is prone to ripping, casters falling off and stuff like that, and they're just things that need to be looked at, I think. So Scicon, guys from Scicon, if you're watching, that's not big criticism, it's just design things that I think could be improved, and it's not just me saying it, it's other people as well, so take it or leave it, I guess. So yeah, I hope this has helped you in your quest for the perfect bike bag, which I don't think really exists. There's some great products out there, and the Scicon Aerocomfort Plus is certainly another great bike bag in the universe of bike bags. So I guess look at the scores in the post. I'll put some overall scores in there, and have a think about what's important to you. Like I said to you before, if you're on a lot of long haul trips, and then probably stuff like or metrics like agility around airports and compatibility, especially if you have a camper van or a hire car, and weight will be really important. But if you're just coming across from the UK to France or Italy or whatever, then you might have a totally different set of characteristics in a bike bag that are important to you. So I'll list them all out there with scores, and the weighting for each characteristic, and I'll probably put a spreadsheet for downloading there as well, so you can tweak the numbers yourself and see how it comes out. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you got a bit out of it, and I'll see you in another video soon.